So we're back with our 35th District State Representative position number, got it wrong again, one race. James Thomas is the guy across the table from me running for that seat. So James, let's give another brief introduction of who you are.
Thank you, Dedrick. Again, my name is James Thomas. I own a business called Thermedia Corporation operating out of the Port of Shelton. We manufacture a very specialized medical component. I also serve as chairman of the Economic Development Council of Mason County, and I also chair your planning commission. I'm running for this position because I think that the interests of the people of the 35th District have gotten lost in the rush of big city, big county agendas. So I am here to see if I can promote your interests.
All right, let's get right into the issues that I sent out that I wanted to talk about. Let's start out with school funding and property taxes. Everybody got that sticker shock when they saw their property taxes recently. I want your thoughts on that.
Well, one of my primary issues is education. If the 35th Legislative District isn't to become a rural wasteland, we have got to have a well-educated workforce. I was going through the Census Bureau data before our meeting today, and 86% of Americans live in 3% of the land mass in cities. The 35th LD is far enough removed from King County and most of Thurston County, we have a little bit of it in West Olympia, that our interests get lost in the shuffle there. We do well as a state. We do okay as a state in funding education. Overall, we're about 26th, I think, is the number. But the state's portion of that, we do much, much worse, 40%. 40th place. And what that means is that wealthier areas with higher property tax bases can afford to fund their schools much better than we can here in the 35th. Other states, the state picks up a larger portion of the state budget, the state education budget, and I would like to see that happen in Washington as well. We can't have the property owners in rural counties picking up such a large share of the load.
Teacher salary is part of this education funding deal.
Yeah.
And there's been some inequities in the formulas that they've used for
You bet.
Setting those salaries based on this regionalization concept, I guess is how it was explained to me.
Yeah.
And I know they've made some adjustments to it, but how do you feel that this is going?
I think educators are so important to our future that it is incumbent on us to see that they are properly compensated for the work that they do. Mm-hmm. I would like to see teachers make a lot more money. I think that our teachers are in roughly the $60,000 a year range if you average everybody out. For a professional, many of them have master's degrees. That's a pretty low salary, and I would like to see that go up. But there's a larger issue here too, Dedrick. We will always have more wants than there are going to be tax dollars to pay for it. What I would really like to see is the state of Washington pick up more of the total education cost, but I would like to see that money, each legislative district, each county, I would like to see them have a lot more control over how that money actually gets spent. Legislators have a natural desire to poke and diddle with areas that are many times out of their area of expertise. I would like to see the teachers working together with administration and school boards to set the objectives in individual school districts and allocate how the money is best going to be spent there.
We're talking schools. Let's talk about school safety. And I know on my sheet I have arming teachers, and I don't want to ask you the straight question. I just
Ask it.
Do you support arming teachers?
I think it is the dumbest idea I have ever heard. Are we really interested in turning our schools into the OK Corral? You know, recently in the news there was an incident where an FBI agent did a somersault in a bar. His weapon discharged, hit a patron. I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen in every school, but when you have people carrying sidearms who are not well trained in their use, bad things will happen eventually. I am all for providing top-rate security in schools. That's not a teacher's job. I would rather my teachers teach, and we use appropriately trained law enforcement officials to provide whatever safety is necessary.
So how would you propose funding that, school safety officers?
Dedrick, it all happens the same way. We either don't have the service or we pay for the service. For a Democrat, you will find that I am an economic conservative, but that doesn't mean that I think that we're overtaxed. I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move into some environmental issues. Something on your mind that's at the top of the environmental spectrum?
As we look at economic development in the 35th District, one of the things that communities have to do when they think about development is put together an honest assessment of their assets and liabilities. We are never going to be suburban Seattle. We are too far off the main transportation corridors. One of the greatest assets that we have is the abundant beauty and natural resources of the 35th District. I would propose working much more closely with the tribes on senior water rights. You know, everyone thinks that the so-called Hearst fix made all of that go away. I want you to know that what has happened is a Band-Aid. It's a bit of kicking the can down the road, but this issue is going to have to be addressed. We've also just had a court decision handed to us on the culverts and the need to clean those out. And I have heard some people claim that the tribes are taking too hard a line on this, and I want you to know that I've spoken to tribal elders, and they're taking a very reasonable approach to this. They're not making the claim that all the culverts have to be fixed next week, but we have to have a plan in place to get this done. All of our livelihoods depend in one way or another on our environment, and it's essential that we take care of it.
You mentioned not being part of the urban scene, and summarizing or paraphrasing, but we seem to have a homelessness problem in this district.
Yeah, we do.
Anything in your plans that would help address that?
Yeah, it's well, first I'd like to spotlight Tom Davis and the group that he's working with to build tiny homes for the vet community. And you know about Quixote Village, of course, down in Olympia. I think tiny homes are part of the homelessness answer. But a bigger part of the homelessness answer is developing a community that has the opportunities for everybody to be well integrated in that community. And that means having a job and presuming that they're able to work and whatnot. Economic development is essential if this legislative district is to continue moving forward.
Special sessions. Doesn't seem like our legislators are getting out of Olympia on time.
No.
How would you propose fixing that?
Legislators need to be in session as long as it takes to get the work done. You know, these are essentially part-time jobs. In odd years, we have about 3 months in session, and in even years, 2 months, 60 days, I think, yeah. In a world as complex as ours today, and the challenges and opportunities facing Washington, that's not a lot of time to get the people's business done. If it takes, you know, more special sessions, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. How about working across that aisle, working with the other party?
Yeah, everybody talks about it. Everybody says what a great thing it is. And it is. You know, my political philosophy is very simple. It derives from the utilitarianism of Bentham and Mill. The idea that we share a commons, and we need to manage that commons in a way that delivers the greatest benefit to the many at the least discomfort to the few. I don't think we are doing a particularly good job of that, but I think it's a great thing to work toward. And look, I am not going to stand here or sit here and tell you that that the folks on the other end of the aisle have no good ideas and are rotten, terrible people. They're not. They're wonderful people. My opponent's a wonderful guy. He and I have some real policy disagreements. I think what is true is that reasonable people can have reasonable disagreements. I think it is incumbent on all of us, though, to be working toward something that we can all accept. None of us are going to get everything that we want, and none of us are going to be able to eschew everything that we don't want. What we have to do is find a way to come together in the middle that gives us something that everybody can live with.
James, I'd like to wrap these things up with giving you an opportunity to briefly state why we should send you to Olympia.
Because I am not running to represent the interests of any particular special interest groups. I'm not even running to further the interests of the Democratic Party. I am here to serve the interests of the people of the 35th Legislative District. I am not a politician. You know, I'm going to go back after a term or two to running my business and growing my tomatoes in the summertime. I will work tirelessly on your behalf.